Tim Vickery is with us in the studio, South American correspondent, and we're going to start looking at some of the transfer stories. Let's kick off with one that's been done. Guido Rodriguez, Argentinian, who's joined them on a free transfer, defensive midfielder, player from Betis. What can you tell us about him, Tim?
West Ham are bringing in two South Americans, him and Luis Guilherme, and they are total opposites. Luis Guilherme they're buying on promise. Guido Rodriguez has been around the block. He's 30. He's tall, defensive midfielder. Protects the back four more, I think, positioning than any particular pace. Doesn't offer a great deal in possession, and you just know what you're getting with him. He's a old pro, solid pro, limitations, but he'll do that job. When Argentina carry him around wherever they go, and almost never use him. During the Copa America, he came on for the last few minutes of the third irrelevant group game. During the World Cup, I actually think they made a big mistake with him. Remember, they lost the first game to Saudi Arabia, and he started the second game against Mexico, but they had to win. And it took a long time to get a goal, and it wasn't happening, and Messi was getting really frustrated because the ball wasn't being played out the back with enough proficiency. Then they took him off, and they brought on Enzo Fernandez, and that's when it all took off for them, and you didn't see Guido no more. The fact that Argentina always trail him around, but very, very rarely use him, shows that good team bloke. So this is an experienced, quite limited professional who you know what you're going to get from him. The other one, Luis Guilherme, you got no idea. It's lots of raw potential. Very, very quick, nice left foot. Usually an inverted winger playing wide right, cutting in. Can play a little bit more central, and then cutting better at goal because he has got a shot on him. But he has scored a grand total of one professional goal in his career. One. It was a great goal. Won a game for him. But that's the only one. So my worry with him is they've spent so much money on him that there's this pressure for him to produce. We've spent 25 million on you. No, do something. And well, we'll see. He may hit the ground running, but this may be one when he's going to need some time to live up to that transfer fee.
This is an interesting one from Mark Hamilton-Smith. He says, what's 18-year-old Aaron Anselmino at Boca Juniors like? Manchester United are watching him. Chelsea just signed him, haven't they?
Yeah, and I've never seen him. A lot of these players now that are coming through, the clubs are picking them up. They've got them on their radar screen practically from the womb, well before they're anywhere near first-team players. And, of course, the move that gave such an impetus to this, and really I think the move that has brought about Luis Guilherme at West Ham, is Vinny Jr. going to Real Madrid. Because they paid 40 million for him as a 16-year-old when he hadn't played a senior game. And I remember thinking at the time, this is madness. What on earth are you doing?
They've loaned him back to Boca anyway.
Yeah.
The one I think I'm surprised at is Valentini. I watched him play live. He really caught my eye. I thought, what player this
Does
boy
he play
is.
for
Plays for Boca,
yeah.
But he's fallen out with Riquelme, and they've banished him till completely.
Where does he play? What position?
Centre back.
Yeah, okay. I think his contract's up. I think
there's one.
And
This is a real sign of the times. Probably Argentina's best player in the Olympics, the central midfielder from Boca, left-footed central midfielder, Ezequiel Fernandez. Now you thought that's Portugal. That's Portugal, and then on to the Premier League. Looks like he's going to Saudi Arabia.
Ooh, wow, really?
Yeah.
Wow,
sign of the times. This is the Saudis saying we ain't just signing old war ponies. We want some young talent as well.
Yeah, he's past going. He is collecting more than £200 if he's going to Saudi Arabia. Julio Soler, young Argentinian left back who could be going to Liverpool. He's at Lanús. He's been playing in the Olympics.
Yeah, yes, yeah. He's I don't know. I never think the Argentine fullback. I don't think it's a specialist position for them. I don't. They produce outstanding players in that position. Liverpool tried a few years back with Insua. Do you remember Insua?
Yeah.
And I thought he was half a left-sided centre back and half a fullback, and fell between the two stools. I'm not convinced by this fella either.
We've had a question from put his name on this one. Can you ask Tim about the possibility of Rafinha returning to England, possibly to Newcastle? Is it viable, possible, he says?
Well,
that was Chris, Newcastle fan. Sorry, Chris.
It would help Barcelona's financial position, wouldn't it? It would help Barcelona be able to register some of the players.
They don't need him and
Gordon.
No, the other boy cuts in.
Isak.
No.
The Paraguayan, the great Almiron.
Oh, Almiron.
Who finally came good. I can't remember.
I think
his
you
name.
trade up probably from Almiron to Rafinha, given the choice.
Yeah.
Well, not much.
Especially with Rafinha's set pieces.
Yeah,
that gives you.
Maybe.
I think you probably would.
Who is Gabriel Carvalho? Says Rob.
16-year-old. I've got no idea. He's none of these youth players been ripped out of the womb. Not a first-team player.
Arsenal, linked to him apparently. 16.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's probably Edu doing a. Like they did with Martinelli. What a piece of business that
So
was.
he could be good, we just don't know.
Mark Clues wants to know about the Wolves' new signing, Pedro
Lima. He's right back, young right back, seen as the new Cafu. Only played second division in Brazil, and defensively, he's from that old school of Brazilian fullbacks who are more wingers than defenders. Quick going forward, strong. Defensively, he's got a lot of work to do.
They've got good scouting, Wolves, though. They normally know what they're doing. So, that'd be interesting.
We see today Alejo Valise has he came into Spurs, very young striker. He's gone out on loan to Espanyol for the season. In that he picked up an injury and meant he didn't play very much, but. And he was out on loan, not particularly successful loan last season. I wonder if this is a good one for him. He is still quite raw. He's not quite ready for the Premier League yet, I don't think.
When Tottenham bought him, I said at the time, he's miles off.
Yeah.
Not a hope. Maybe 2 or 3 years down the line. I've got a lot of stick for it, but I think once in a while, just by chance, we get something right. There may be something there, but he has to work himself out as a player first.
This Andre saga has been going on for ages. Dan's been in touch. Fluminense, he was linked to Liverpool, then he was linked to Fulham. It looked like he was definitely going to Fulham, but it seems that this is from Dan, the Fulham fan. It's gone very quiet, isn't it?
Well, we could get development on this, but it's all about getting the fee sorted out. Last year, he was in demand. There were big offers for him, and Fluminense decided to keep him because they were in the running to win the South American Champions League, the Libertadores, that they'd never done. So they decided to keep him, and they won the Libertadores. You might remember Andre playing against Man City in the final of the Club World Cup, where you saw what an unorthodox side Fluminense were then. They're passing suicidally out the back. And Andre, as a defensive midfielder, he's receiving a ball 2 yards from goal under enormous pressure and dealt with that very, very well. A lot of space to cover because often they would defend with a high line. Quite often, chasing the game, they would take a centre-back off and make him cover centre-back as well. So he covers wide areas. He's good on the ball. He's a very interesting player, but so much of the transfer market is timing. You've got to get the timing right. And that was last year. 12 months on, what's happened? Firstly, he picked up a serious injury earlier this year, so he's only just come back from that. So that's something that pushes his value down. Secondly, he's just turned 23. 23 is often the cut-off point at which the European clubs think, he's sell on value, so puts his value down. Thirdly, he's not been in the Brazil. He was playing for Brazil last year. He hasn't been playing for them. Fourthly, Fluminense have lost full form, although Thiago Silva is digging them out of a hole since he's been back. 4 consecutive 1-0 wins in the league. They're still in the relegation zone. So his club are now, last year they were the South American champions. This year they're struggling to stay in Brazil's first division. So you put all of these things together and they ain't going to get what they wanted for him last year. Not a hope. The complicating factor from Fulham, I think Fulham have offered 20 or 25 and Fluminense have said no, but they're going to have to say yes because this time next year that value will go down when he's 24. So the complicating factor from a Fulham point of view could be Man United because this is a central midfielder who can sit alongside Kobe Mainoo is something that United clearly need and are looking for. They have been looking at Manuel Ugarte, Uruguayan who plays for Paris Saint-Germain. That's going to cost a lot.
Sander Berger they've been looking with.
Let's Sander Berger today, yeah.
But Ugarte is going to cost a lot of money. And United, their interest has cooled because Paris Saint-Germain are asking a lot of money. So it's possible that United could enter the fray for Andre and pay a lot less for him than they would for Ugarte.
Rangers fans were getting quite excited about the possibility of Damian Garcia coming from Penarol. Neil said, what happened with that deal, Tim? Did he sign a new deal in Uruguay in the end? It all went a bit quiet.
Yeah, Penarol, they are in... Kicks off next week. They're in the knockout stages of the Libertadores, South America's Champions League. Now, that's a big deal. Peñarol were the first winners, they were the first powers, but they haven't won it since the mid-'80s. So they're really trying to keep that team together. It's possible that they'll be out. They'll be knocked out before the end of the month, in which case then there'll be a fire sale.
That could happen.
Do Peñarol play in that old stadium? Do they also play there?
They've got their own stadium as well.
Right.
Which they use.
I went there, that stadium.
Centenario.
It's unbelievable. It needs doing up.
2030 World Cup, here we come.
Oh, right.
It needs an upgrade.
Yeah.
Couple of quick questions. How likely is it that Matheus Pereira will return to the UK? I think that's an Albion fan.
Extremely unlikely, I would have thought. He's now back in Brazil with Cruzeiro, and he says he's so happy. It's the first time he's played for a club where he's fallen in love with it. He's doing very well. He's the main man. So I would have thought unlikely.
And just a quick one, it just says Ramon Sosa, the Nottingham Forest question mark.
Paraguayan winger, plays in Argentina, a bit of a late developer, he's mid-20s mark. I like him a lot. He's usually plays wide left, cutting in onto his right foot. He's strong. I'm not sure that he's got quite enough to make a huge impact offensively in the Premier League, but you'll certainly get a shift out of him. And Wolves brought over a Paraguayan winger a couple of years ago, Enzo Gonçalves, and I think that they've hardly seen him. Ramon Sosa, I think you're going to get more out of. I don't think he's going to be a world beater, but I think there's a useful player there.
One more generic question, just come out and put a name on this. How can clubs like Arsenal be able to sign these young players from South America who don't pass the international clearance criteria?
Well, you can sign them. You have to wait until they're 18, but the criteria have changed. It's changed a lot since Brexit. It's one of the reasons there's so many more Brazilians coming straight from Brazil into the Premier League.
Not
these
via
days.
Portugal, like being parked to get simulated and get their passports.
It's become much easier to get players straight in.
Well, Tim, lovely to see you as always.
Lovely
Are you back in Brazil this time next week?
I will be, yeah. So crackly old phone line and
sure, the dog barking in the background.
The dog barking in the background, yes.
Marvellous. Okay.
Tick.
Yeah.
Tick. Yes.
Good to see you, Tim.
Yeah, lovely to see you.
All the best. There's Tim Vickery. Thanks for all your questions this afternoon. We got through most of them, I think. So, yeah, thanks for sending those in.
Paul Hawksbee and Andy Jacobs, Monday to Friday afternoons 1 till 4 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.